Calling the regular meeting for Wednesday, August 28th to order at 7:07 p.m. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Brusher.
Here.
Councilmember Coyle.
Here.
Councilmember Patel.
Here.
Councilmember Pointer. Councilmember Shmuel.
Here.
All right, Madam Clerk, please read the adequate notice.
Adequate notice of this meeting as required by the Open Public Meeting Act of 1975 has been provided by the annual notice sent to the Home News Tribune, Starlet, and Sentinel on December 23rd, 2023, and posted in the lobby Missile Complex on that same date.
All right, thank you. As for the Council President's remarks, once again, I want to remind everybody that this is a chamber that we are trying to listen to everybody. When it is your turn, you are in your rights to speak whatever you like, but when you're not recognized, if you speak out of turn, I will call a point of order, and if you continue to do that, we will have you removed. So let's have a good meeting. Let's listen to each other. Moving on, Councilman Coyle.
Thank you, Council President. To my colleagues and our residents of Edison and firefighters, I'd like to do a moment of silence for two people. Chief William Prairie and firefighter Raymond T-Bach. First with Chief Prairie, he's been a volunteer fire person on Oak Tree Road, a volunteer fire company since 1975, and has been the chief there for 30 years. He passed away on Saturday. He should be recognized for his 49 years of service to the Oak Tree Volunteer Fire Department and helped many of his members, men and women, to pursue their career in this field. Truly proud of the hard work and dedication, and this person not only devoted his life, but he stayed in Edison his entire life. He didn't just do the job and then move on to retire. He loved Edison. Also want to say to a personal friend of many people, Raymond T-Bach, lifelong firefighter, family of firefighters, and sad to see him pass away last week. He was dedicated to his job, helped a lot of people. He was known for lending a hand to so many and making sure they got their start in their career. I'm proud to know him as a friend. So many here on this dais know him as well, and I just want to do a moment of silence. Thank you, Council President. Thank you, Reverend. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. Moving on to number 5, approval of minutes. May I get a motion to approve and should we do excuse for impression?
I told them already,
Okay.
so they know which ones they have to.
Okay. And can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
May I have a second? Okay, second.
Council President, I am seconding the motion except for A, the work session of March 11, 2024.
And
I'll second the motion.
thank you.
March 11th.
And I think Councilman Brusher is excused for a few, and Councilman Cole is excused for a few. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No. Moving on to number 6, approval of volunteer firefighters. May I have a motion to approve James E. Nielsen and Connor J. Small?
Motion to approve.
May I have a second?
Second.
A motion by Councilman Shmuel, second by Councilman Coyle. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, moving on to number 7, unfinished business, ordinance for further consideration, public hearing, and final adoption. Madam Clerk, please read the ordinance.
Ordinance canceling the $178,979.41 appropriation not needed for its original purpose in and by the Township of Edison.
All right, I will open this up to public comments on ordinance 2228. Come on up.
Where is the money going? It doesn't indicate. The one below it says that it'll go into an account, but this one does not indicate where the money's going.
Sonia? Yeah. While we wait, do you have any other questions?
No, you're only on that one. That's the one I'm on. I just want to know where the money's going to. Doesn't indicate.
So it will be the 178,979.41 cents appropriation will be canceled and is being transferred to the capital fund balance.
Okay. I would just simply ask in the future that we make sure we put where it's going to. Otherwise, we're going to come up and ask you, where's the money?
Of course, thank you. Yeah. Anyone else?
Nick Fagan, 42 Edgewood.
You're recognized.
Thank you, Council President. I believe, in reading these as a cursory reading, I believe that they're cancellation of street paving. Is that correct? I'm just trying to understand, and I guess I'll just ask my question. I'm trying to understand what happened. Did we not need to pave these streets, or did the streets not come to be? We need street paving in our town, in my opinion.
No,
So
those are
this w-
two unrelated
These are not
issues.
related to street paving.
So this is from 2010, reconstruction, resurfacing on Wynyard Road from Estock Road to Elizabeth Court, resurfacing of Roxy Ave from New Dover Road to Inman Ave, and reconstruction of Featherbed Lane from Inman Ave to Edison Clark border, finally adopted in 2010. But Sonia, I'll let you continue.
Council President, just to answer your question, so this is past monies that we can no longer use, and that's why they have to get canceled.
So this is, from the way Ken explained it to us, this is essentially money on the balance that, essentially multiple projects that are, we can't touch, we can't use the money, but they're there and it's kind of distracting. So this is just a cleanup to get, essentially close them out and we're done with it, so that we can actually focus on the ones that are open.
And I guess that's fine, and sure, but did the original work get done?
I am
The
not sure.
resurfacing of Featherbed Lane and all the other streets you mentioned?
I believe, from what I understand, it should be done. There might be just leftovers that they can't use. That's, again, this was from 2010. They can't do anything with the money. I don't know what exactly the status of those projects are. The only thing we do know is that they're there and they can't be touched and they can't be used. So we had to cancel them.
Okay. It still doesn't, you'll do what you want to do, council, but I would recommend that you maybe table this until you drive down Featherbed Lane, or you talk with a resident down there to see if it's been done, the work's been done, or if it still needs to be done. If you don't know if the work has been done and it still needs to be done, maybe this doesn't need canceling. Maybe this just needs, the work actually just needs to be done. So my recommendation is you just table this until you can find out that answer.
I think.
But it still hasn't been clear to me if this work was finished or not.
Okay.
And you passed it back in 2010, 2015, 20-something.
2010.
2010, so it probably needed to be done by that council. That council recommended and set aside that money, correct, to do this work?
Okay.
No?
I
Council
can have
President?
Sonia answer that for you.
Yeah, if Mr. Fagan is finished. So this is just a mechanism which we have to cancel bonds we can no longer use. So in any event, I can certainly follow up to see at what point that road was done, but we cannot use these funds to do those streets any longer. So this is a mechanism in which we have to cancel bonds. It's just procedural.
That's clearer. Thank you for that. So you can't, it's closed. So maybe gotcha. So even if you did need to do it, you'd have to close it. So maybe we missed something along the road from 2010.
Essentially, it's an accounting cleanup. That's
Yeah.
the best way to look at it.
Okay. I hope those roads did get taken care of in the meantime, and maybe this is leftover money, but it sounds like maybe it didn't get taken care of and those residents are going to suffer. But it's either here nor there. It's an accounting cleanup. I got it. Thank you.
Elizabeth Conway, 20 Netherwood Circle, which is around the corner from Roxy and down the block from Featherbed Lane and all the streets you're talking about. I'm just looking for clarity. So those roads that were going to cost this amount to pave never got done, and now it's too late to spend the money that was appropriated to get those done.
No, this is only accounting cleanup. We don't know what happened in 2010, as far as I don't know. Sonia,
That's why I'm
do you-
trying to.
Council President?
Councilman,
I
give me 1 second. Let me have Sonia answer, and then we'll come to you. Yes.
So we can't make that assumption that they were not done. What we can do is cancel these. This is just, again, a mechanism to procedurally to have these canceled. We can certainly go look at those roads and saying if they need any patchwork or any resurfacing for that matter. So, but we can't make the assumption that they were never done.
They were never done. But, so you're canceling the money, but we still have a chance that if you go back and look at the roads, you'll see that, oh, they do need to be done. You can get more
But if I could add,
appropriations,
that
more
would have to be done by a
up-to-date.
new appropriation. That
Correct.
Whether we vote, whether this body votes to cancel the appropriation or not cancel it, that money cannot be used. So this is purely, as you said, an accounting mechanism to clean up the books.
So you're
So nothing will
canceling-
happen. Nothing can happen with this ordinance either way.
So what I'm saying is you're canceling the money, but please don't cancel the
So
job.
we do have some more information. The original ordinance was for 1,140,000. So this was the leftover from that 1,140,000. So they did use most of it, but this is just a leftover money that I'm guessing they did not use in 2010, and we can't do anything with it, so we're just canceling it. So,
Okay, but you're going to look at it.
yes.
Thank you.
Councilman Brescher.
Well, I was just going to say, and I don't know that I'm right with this, but I did contact the state, okay, because my presumption is that if this called for us to pave and redo curbs on Featherbed, this appropriation, and we spent $800,000 of $1 million, and there's $200,000 left, that appropriation could still be applied to that project as like a change order or something else coming down. So it doesn't necessarily have to be done like this, but we could, was where I was going. So I haven't been able to look at all of this, but just so the public knows, you'll notice that we pass a budget with $5 million for road resurfacing, or $6 million. At the end of the day, the business administrator might come to us with $4.9 million worth of road resurfacing. They go out to bid, and at that point, that might be 4.5, but we appropriated the 4.9. So this is what they're saying is that mechanism to clean up the accounting of it. But like I said, I still haven't gotten clarity from the state yet, because I think this money still could be used and appropriated for what it was originally intended for. But when I get the answer, I'll let everyone know.
All right, thank you, Councilman Brescher. I'm going to get a motion to close the public portion.
Motion to close the public portion?
May I have a second?
Second.
All right, that's motion by Councilman Pointer, second by Councilman Shmuel. Can I get a motion to adopt?
Motion to adopt?
May I have a second?
Second.
All right, that's motion by Councilman Pointer, second by Councilman Shmuel. Any council comments?
Council President?
Councilman Pointer.
Can I just give residents kind of an example of where this may come about down the road? In 2022, we allocated money to repave Brower Avenue. There was an application before the planning board for a subdivision on Brower Avenue, and as one of those conditions of approval was for them to actually repave Brower Avenue, right? So that would, instead of going on the onus of the township, was made a part of the condition of that application. So in the sense, like, why something may not have been done from the township, I just wanted to give that as an example of how something like this could come about. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman Pointer. Any other council members? All right, seeing none, may I get a roll call, Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Brescher.
No.
Councilmember Coyle.
Yes.
Councilmember Pointer.
Yes.
Councilmember Shmuel.
Yes.
Council President Patel.
Yes. Madam Clerk, please read ordinance 2229, 2024.
Bond ordinance of the Township of Edison in the County of Middlesex, New Jersey, providing for the cancellation of $398,996.63 in bond proceeds not needed for its original purpose to transfer to such an amount to the capital surplus account.
All right, this will also be open to the public comments.
Nick Fagan, 42 Edgewood. So like 2228, I think this is for roads, the roads. And thank you for council for the explanation of, you appropriate a certain amount, you don't spend it all due to wise government and wise use of our money. And then there's leftover. But what I'm wondering is, and Ms. Hennessy, I think, asked the same question, but I'm looking for more specificity. The capital surplus account, so is this canceling the bond? Are we taking the money out of the bank and borrowing it and putting it towards another account that the city can use for anything? It's called the capital surplus account. They can use it for miscellaneous things. Or is this canceling the loan and you're not taking the money from the bank?
Sonia?
So we have not used the money. So these are
So it was
unused
never
funds.
taken from the bank in the first place?
One sec. Let
Sorry.
Sonia finish
Oh, okay.
before you continue.
Yeah.
Again, these are unused funds, so they were never borrowed. So what this is a mechanism which we transfer the funds into a capital surplus account.
I'm confused, I'm sorry. So if the funds were never, and I'm a layman, I'm sorry, but right, I take a mortgage and I take that money and I've got the money and I have to pay it back to the bank. What I heard is that we never took the money from the bank in the first place, but then I also heard we took the money from the bank in the bond, and then we're going to now transfer it to what I'm going to call a slush fund. So which one is it? Did we take the money out of the bank or not?
Well, first, the problem with what you just said is that you said that if you don't use bond proceeds, that they're put into a slush fund. That is impossible. That doesn't exist. Every dollar that is spent has to be approved in the budget, okay, via appropriation. Whether it has to be you can look at the previous ordinance, a cancellation of an appropriation. So if money is borrowed but no longer needed, it can't be used for anything else. Okay, so in this case, certain funds weren't used. They're put into a surplus account, but they can't be used for anything unless this council approves it. So this is, once again, an accounting mechanism for unused bond funds. Instead of wasting them on something, now they are held for whatever other project may be necessary. But that would ultimately be that would be an act of council and can't be used unless there's such action. I hope that answers your question.
That's helpful. So the money was borrowed from the bank. The bond was taken out. We do have, we pay interest on it and we have possession of it, but it was designated for that road purpose and that road purpose is not available. And so we can't use it anymore. So it's locked up. And so we are trying to unlock that money in order to use it for an alternate use under the capital surplus account. Can you tell me, as a resident, what kind of things are spent for under the capital surplus account?
It would have to come to council. I mean, that's the requirement. It would
Essentially, this is leftover money from projects in the years past, going back to 2010. They are stuck in those particular accounts that we cannot touch or use. This is essentially an accounting mechanism to remove all those money that we may have borrowed. Let's say we borrowed $1 million, we used up $999,000, we had $1 or whatever left. We're essentially just releasing that dollar, putting it back into the surplus capital account, and then essentially closing out that account. So right now we have a lot of accounts open, and it's hard to manage. Imagine having 24 checking accounts and trying to manage all of them. Some of them are not active, but they're still there. We're just essentially closing them out, putting them into a surplus account, When we do use that money, which will still come back to but I can't tell you what we're going to use that money for till it comes to the council to be used in the future.
Council President?
Yes.
Just to clarify, and Mr. Michello was correct in his statement, they're used for general improvement authorization, so for future, which again, have to come to council.
Gotcha, and it's not being specified as of now, and that makes sense. Is it possible to just pay down the bond with this money instead of putting it into a unspecified account for future use at some time later?
I mean, we can.
Council President, it is a specified account. It's capital. It's a capital surplus account used for general improvements to our infrastructure. So that's where it's going into.
Okay, so it'll go into a fund where the council has discretion to use in the future budgets. And I guess what I'm asking for you is just pay the bank back with the money if you didn't use it. But that's my simpleton way of thinking. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Mary Ann Hennessy,
You're right,
Edison. I'm trying to follow exactly what you're telling me, and I'm still slightly confused. If you got this money, and it was, say, to do the roads, but you didn't use it all, and it's been sitting there for years, how long do you have when you borrow this money to actually utilize it? I mean, if it's been sitting there since 2010 or later, it's now 2024. Didn't anybody see this? Didn't anybody make a suggestion that it be used? And if you're going to use it, if you're going to put it back in the capital surplus funds, what's not to, and you're telling me that you can't use it for the roads, the money that was left, if that's what I'm understanding.
So,
If I'm not understanding, please explain it to me, but that's what I sat there and listened to.
okay, let's put it this way. When we pass a bond ordinance here, right, and we say we're going to use this money, let's make it simpler, $1,000 for X per project, let's say road paving.
Yeah.
We continue that project. This was passed in 2010. We continue that project. We end up using $999 of that, $1 remaining. But since we allocated that $1,000 to that road, that $1 left, we cannot touch it minus that project, because that's what the council appropriated in 2000, whatever. Now, someone should have cleaned this up earlier, but my understanding is no one did. And this was a massive undertaking by the finance department that took them a lot of research to essentially find out where all the money is, all the accounting. And it took them a long time to gather all the data. And they said, this is the best way to make sure we can focus on what we need to do going forward. So that $1 here, $10 there, and that's just stuck at that point, and we're not utilizing it for anything. We might as well close it, put it into our regular checking account, and then, utilize it for something else. It could be to pay down debt. It could be to improve our roads. It could be for anything. But once again, it'll have to come back to the council for an approval, because now that we're closing those accounts, it is not allocated for anything specific. Until now, they were allocated for a specific project, and that's the only project they were allowed to be used for. I hope that helped.
It helps, but I also don't understand. My understanding from looking, when you talk about bonds, and you take bonds and you take them for so many years.
Mm-hmm.
So if you took this bond in 2010, and it was a 10-year bond, that takes it to 2020. Why has it been sitting there for 4 years? I mean, somebody has to be in control. Somewhere along the line, there has to be something like some kind of a little flag that pops up to tell you you should have taken it, or you need to close it out. Why isn't there a procedure to do that so that you don't come back 10 years or 15 years later to clean these things up?
I cannot speak for anything in the past, but we are doing it now, and that's all I can really say. Sonia?
Council President, this is nothing different than what we just did in the past ordinance, okay? So this mechanism is to close out a bond that we can no longer use. Our department, everyone, including our engineering department, Public Works, made sure that these projects were closed out. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to cancel these bonds. So essentially, this surplus account, let's call it, we are able to, for example, outside of using it for additional improvement authorizations, we can balance our budget, therefore reducing taxes for residents. So there is a good function to doing this. We're really just closing out our books. We're reconciling our account, our projects. So that's all it is. I can't make any other assumption as to projects, but these projects are closed. This is leftover money. We cannot use it for anything else. So therefore, we're cleaning our books and we're just simply reconciling our accounts. Nothing more, nothing less. So I can't figure out what other imaginary thing I could use that money for.
I know, and I'm going to be going back and forth with you because I don't understand why there was never.
Council President, I
Something put there.
respectfully, the back and forth, I've explained it multiple times. There's no more other
Ms.
explanation
Hennessy,
I can really
unfortunately,
quite give.
We don't have anything but with the past. In the past, they didn't do it, but we are doing it now.
Do you have some kind of a system now in place that all these bonds that we have just been doing for the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years, when they're falling into time, when they're supposed to be closed, they don't sit there like this?
From what I understand from the finance department, yes, they are moving to a better system to make sure that this doesn't happen in the future.
Thank you. That's all I needed to know, because, I mean, to me, it's very foolish that it's taken this long to close these out when everything's been done.
I agree. Thank you.
Joey Ship Freeman.
You're
From what I know and from what I understand about the bonds, I don't understand why this one showed up, because I know back in 2021 or 2022, maybe Councilman Brescher would be able to be fresh on it, that they consolidated all the stuff. And you're going to tell me after they consolidated all the stuff and got it down to a 2.78 bond and handed over the money to the new administration, that they didn't find money from 2010 and 2007. None of that money was taken care of. So all of a sudden we have an epiphany and we found out about this money. And I question why we keep putting money into the surplus, because if we keep putting the money in the surplus, what's going to happen is 3 years down the line, the tax will explode, and who's going to be paying all this extra money back? And I agree with other people, like, if you're not, all this extra money on bonding and extra money, chickens do come home to roost. I just have a problem with nobody giving a definite meaning of why. No matter, everybody keeps going back and forth, but nobody gives you a good reason why we're taking this money and putting it in surplus, other than trying to give us a false impression of our taxes are lower, but they're not.
All right.
Elizabeth Conway, 20 Netherwood Circle.
You're recognized.
I'm sorry to go around and around, but when you take out a bond, is there an interest on this bond that we have to pay back? So if you borrow $1 million, is there an interest payment over the $1 million that you have to pay back? Is my question. So if you get to a point where you're using so much of it, and then you're not using the rest, you're canceling it, but you haven't given them the money back, are we still paying interest, or we don't pay interest on bonds? I equate this to like an equity loan. So if I borrow $100,000 on an equity loan and I only use 78,000 of it, I paid interest on the 78,000, but then I closed out the account and I'm not going to be using the last 22,000. So I'm not taking the money. But you're still taking that 22,000 and putting it into another checking account. I'm trying to equate it to the normal person. So, but I only paid interest on the $78,000 that I actually used. So could you equate that to this bond? Are you paying interest on it? And if you're canceling it, do we not pay any more interest on that extra almost $400,000 that you're
best-
putting into your checking account?
So the way I would explain it, again, going back to that $1,000 example, you borrowed $1,000 for a particular project. As soon as you borrow, you start paying it off.
Right.
You use $999, and you essentially paid it off on a separate process, right? It's not like you borrow and then you pay it off at the same amount. You have a different mechanism to pay off your debt. And we consolidated our debt in the past, so it's not necessary that individual projects go with individual debt. We can consolidate all of that debt into one particular payment. So you cannot equate, you had $1 in this account, so that dollar's debt is still going. That might have been paid off already. So going back to that example, you borrowed $1,000, you used $999, you borrowed another $1,000 for another project, so you have $2,000. You consolidated that $2,000 into a separate debt. You can pay off that debt. Let's say you paid off that $2,000, but you still have that dollar remaining in that account that was appropriated for a particular project.
That you're paying interest on?
No, the debt payment would have already been done on a separate consolidation. So if you had two projects, you borrowed $1,000 on each, and you consolidated that debt into one, and you're paying low interest payments on it, that would have been paid off, let's say 2015 already. But that money that's appropriated in an accounting terms for this particular project, that extra dollar that is appropriated already for that project is just sitting there, not being used for anything else. So this is just a way of saying, we're done with this project. We're not going to be able to use this extra dollar. We don't need to keep this account open because it's getting confusing. There's 30 different accounts that are essentially closed, but we can't do anything with it. So this is just an accounting mechanism to close all those accounts, consolidate them, make it easier to work with the account. The debt is a separate issue. If it was borrowed in 2010, I would assume it's already paid off. But even if it will be consolidated into a separate thing. It won't be associated with that particular project. That's all I'm trying to say. Yeah.
Okay.
One sec.
Council, just in terms of the interest rates, I just want to at least clarify. We do make 5 to 6 payments throughout the year for our debt service, and the interest rates, they vary from 2 to 4%.
Council President, can I add a note to that?
Yeah.
Because this ties into what Councilwoman Freeman had.
Can we
Actually,
wait
it's
till
okay.
the...
Sorry.
Yeah, thank you. Anybody else?
Can motion to close the public portion?
All right, may I get a second? Oh, all right, come on up. No mask, please.
Artificial intelligence, am I recognized?
You're not.
I'm not recognized?
No. You would have to remove your mask, please.
Is it lawful?
Sir, you will have to remove your mask if you want to talk. I'm not going to say it again. I will ask you to be removed. All right. Motion, can I get a motion to close the public portion?
Motion to close?
May I have a second?
Second.
All right, that's a motion by Councilman Pointer, second by Councilman Shmuel. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, can I get a motion to adopt?
Motion to adopt?
May I have a second? Second. That's motion by Councilman Pointer, second by Councilman Shmuel. Any council comments?
Council President?
Councilman Pointer.
Thank you. Understand the sentiment in regards to utilizing the money to pay off the debt. To use $100,000 as an example, say we didn't use $100,000 from this project, right? To Councilwoman Freeman's point, the township consolidated its debt, right? At an interest rate which is lower than what the current interest rates are now, right? Let's call it 1.8%. Current interest rates range from 2 to 4%. We could say, hey, right now, we're going to utilize this money, pay off the debt, and next year, when whatever bond comes up, we would just go about in our normal business. I would rather use this $100,000 at the reduced interest rate and take off the amount that we would need next year. Usually, we've been doing at $15 million clips, right? So utilizing this $100,000 example, next year, it would be $14,900,000, right? But that 100,000 is at a lower interest rate than whatever the interest rates are going to be most likely next year. Obviously, I can't forecast that. But that's how I'm viewing it. Right now, we have the funds that are able to be utilized. Now, if you look at any of the bond ordinances on the right column, it says period of usefulness. So for road resurfacing, you have a 10-year usefulness lifetime of that. So a 2010 bond has already elapsed, right? That's 2020. This is 2015, 10 years is 2025. So that would be the difference for me. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman Pointer.
Councilman President.
Councilman Brescher.
Sonia, this $398,000, this is sitting in a bank account, correct? And
Yes.
we're getting interest on that also.
Correct.
Okay. So in essence, this is an accounting thing that government does. And like my residents, I guess I'm going to use the same verbiage. I didn't go to law school like my attorney here. So I'm going to use the word slush fund. But in essence, there are certain things that happen accounting-wise. This money sits in an account. They've been here for years, right? We haven't spent them. But at some point, when this council might be having to raise your taxes 8%, okay, they can clean this all up, all these little accounts that they have, right, and reduce that cost. Next year is where you'll see like a reduction, because this is basically like found money that we're going to allocate now. It's going to be in the budget, right? It's just not going to be sitting in a bank account. I mean, there is a drawback. We receive a little less interest. But it's the same type of thing when we have employees in the town. When we put our budget together, we might have allocated 200 police officers. Over the course of the year, we don't hire new police officers, but 20 police officers retire, let's say mid-year. The township saves that $100,000 per police officer that they use then in the following budget. It's an accounting practice. With the way the public looks at it, like I do, right? We look at it like it's a slush fund, because it's not actually appropriated for a specific cause. It's not like we go in and we say our budget is 150 million, and then we spend the 150 million every year. There's money that's left over that then gets put into the following year's budget. So because there's no actual designation, that's where we use that word slush fund, because we don't know where it's going. Only the administration could know at this time, or they might not even know at this time. They might decide next year what they're going to do with the funds. So accounting-wise in that, I do understand, but with this here and with the one above, I didn't get to take a look at where this all came from, because I just got my packet. I can't do the R drive or whatever we have. I can't do it on my phone. So, right, myself, I'm just not comfortable with the first two we had, that's all. That would be it, Council President. Thank you.
As for me, I would just like to say that with the debt payment back, as Councilman Pointer said, if we have a lock-in rate of 1 point or something really low, and our interest current rate is 7% or 2 to 4%, borrowing more money and then trying to pay back something that we have a really low rate in, I don't think that's makes financial sense. So it's better to keep that 1 point whatever rate we have and use that money instead of borrowing more money at a higher rate. But either way, this is a accounting mechanism. Hopefully this will clean up moving forward, and moving forward they'll keep it in order and close it as it goes along. May I get a motion to it? Actually, we already have motions. May I get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Brescher.
No.
Councilmember Coyle.
Yes.
Councilmember Pointer.
Yes.
Councilmember Shmuel.
Yes.
Council President Patel.
Yes. All right, moving on to ordinance 2230. Madam Clerk, please read the ordinance.
An ordinance providing for the cost of living adjustment for certain employees of the township.
I will open this up to the public.
Lois Wolke, Peak Road.
You recognize Lewis.
Okay. I have a question. It says that if the cost of living increase is for certain employees, and the three that are listed are the business administrator, director of water and sewer, and director of public works. Are these the only employees that are getting a cost of living increase, or are other?
I think I think in this particular ordinance, we're only doing these three. Others have received it in the past in a separate ordinance.
Yes.
They're in a separate ordinance.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and most of our employees are part of bargaining units, and they receive raises as part of their contracts. These are individuals who are not part of a contract unit.
Okay, then the difference is $6,000 for the increase in one case and a couple of thousand in the other cases. Why do we need to give a cost of living increase? Now, I'm not familiar with all the positions. I am familiar with the business administrator, who makes almost $250,000. With everything going on in this town and every penny counting, why do we have to give a cost of living increase to someone at that salary, or the director of water and sewer, or director of public works? I could see the employees, they're at a lower scale, and it makes a big difference to them. But I don't really see why we need to do this.
I think you've stated your opinion on the matter. I don't think there's a question for me on that. I think it's just your opinion is that they don't deserve it. That's fine. I mean, that's your opinion on it. I don't think that's a question to be answered by us.
You don't understand my question?
No, I don't think it's a question at all. I think you're making a statement about your belief that they shouldn't get a raise. That's your right to do so, to make that statement, but I don't think that's a question that I can answer.
Does the council feel that this is warranted?
When we vote for it, well, no. I don't know yet.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, and what I wanted to ask, let's say $6,000 or $2,000, is that staying on the books? Do you give that increase right now, this year, the whole increase, or is it divvied out?
It would be in each paycheck, over the course of the year, It's not a one-time payment. It'd be an increase in the salary paid, I believe, bi-monthly.
So it's not given right now, the whole thing?
No, it adjusts the salary up,
Okay.
Yeah.
Artificial intelligence, am I recognized?
Yeah, you're recognized.
I'm recognized?
Yes.
I'm still wearing a mask, but okay. Who's getting a raise specifically?
The three people that are listed are business administrator,
Sonia?
director of water and sewer, and director of public works.
Okay. And why is Sonia getting a raise? For what reason?
It says cost of living adjustment.
Didn't they already give her a vehicle to drive around in? She doesn't have to pay for that vehicle. She already got, how much is her salary per year?
I think that's a purse.
So if you have something to say, please make your statement to the council.
Well, I am making statements.
Okay.
Okay.
Please keep it quiet. Thank you.
I'm making a lot of statements while wearing a mask about Ordinance 2230-2024. Completely lawful. The only reason I didn't speak before because I wasn't recognized. It had nothing to do which mask I was wearing or not. How you doing, Councilman Joe? Okay. How much time do I have left, Marlena? 4.5 minutes? Okay. Yeah, just more corruption from BA Sonia. Asked for numerous meetings from her,
Point of order.
never got those meetings.
Respectfully,
you're
the
going
ordinance
out of
is in
the-
regards to the position, not an employee.
And,
So
and
personal attacks on an employee, I do not find to be
Fuck
in
off.
line with the ordinance itself.
Okay.
The councilman is correct. The speaker's comments are not in keeping with what is required of this
And I
public
think you
comment.
forfeited your
Yeah,
right to speak, so
I
you
didn't
please sit
forfeit.
down. Yes.
It wasn't a personal attack.
No, you're,
It wasn't a personal attack. I was just explaining why.
you can please sit down, or I'll have you removed.
You'll have me removed
Yes,
for making
please.
public comments on ordinance 2230.
Please sit down, or I'll have you removed. Thank you. Officer, can we have this person removed? Thank you. All right, moving on. Any other? Oh, no. We can wait. All right, we can continue.
This is just like
Your
I
name
said,
and address, please.
Excuse me, Joy Ship Freeman, okay?
You're recognized.
I'm just saying this environment is so hostile, that's why people don't come out.
please
But
stick to the-
excuse me, there's no back and forth. I just want to say something. There's no back and forth. How often, people would like to know, how often are these three individuals getting a cost of living raise?
How often in this ordinance? There will be one time. They'll be going from the number stated 160 to 230, which is increasing to 236,900.
How often? Like, 'cause I seen this before when it came up before, not too long ago. So I'm just trying to tell you how many times does this come up? And believe me, I know about bargaining units and stuff because I was in head of one before. So I'm just want to know that how often are we submitting information because for them, I don't know if the people have been here. Some people have been here a little longer, but some people, I don't know if they've been a good 3 years or whatever. So I'm just questioning the fact that how often are we doing cost of living raises for certain people when I know the majority of these people here make like 30,000 or maybe 40 at poverty level. And they not at cost, they don't get the cost of living raise. That's why I just want to know how often do we do it?
Can I answer that?
Yes.
Well, what you said is fundamentally incorrect. I mean, from the start, to say that that certain individuals are not getting a cost of living increase is incorrect. If you're a part of a bargaining unit, there's generally an increase built in every year as part of that bargaining unit. So I reject your premise that
Please let him
other
finish.
people are not getting a cost of living increase, and these individuals are. As to how often these three positions have received a cost of living increase, it would have to come to council for that to happen. And I cannot tell you, as I sit here tonight, when the last one was. But there's certainly a record of those because they're not done by the administration. They have to be done by this body. So I'm sure someone has that information about when the last one was, but yeah. 2021. Okay, so there you have it. But to say that I have to just push back on that idea that they are getting it and others are not, because that's not the case.
I'm not saying that. I didn't say that they wasn't getting one.
Okay.
I said the amount of money they get is ridiculous. I never said that they wasn't getting cost of living because I know I've been a bargaining agent before, and I'm saying it's kind of crazy to me that people making 30 and 40,000, but we see this great need to pile on and give more and more money to people in the $200,000 range. I'm just always for the people, the grunt people who, are going out their way, doing the best they can within this township. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, you can come on up.
Nick Fagan, 42 Edgewood.
You recognize.
For the benefit of Councilwoman Shipp and some of the other people here, I believe it was November of last year that this was requested. And if I remember correctly, the council did modify the resolution and pulled one of the members from the resolution and modified, changed the resolution and pulled the BA's amount off. And so, and then I thought you passed it or you tabled it. So this is coming up again. And I think you already voted on it in November.
All right, thank you. Anybody else? All right, seeing none, can I get a motion to close? Can I get a second? Second. I have a motion by Councilman Coyle, second by Councilman Shmuel. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, can I get a motion to adopt?
Motion to adopt.
May I have a second?
Second.
That's a motion by Councilman Shmuel, second by Councilman Pointer. Any council comments?
Just a point of clarification. This percentage is the same or less than what everybody else has gotten in the township?
3%, same.
Okay. Yeah, it was just a point of clarity. I was just looking to make sure that everybody's getting treated equally. Thank you.
All right. Anybody else? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Brescher.
Yes.
Councilmember Coyle.
Yes.
Councilmember Pointer.
Yes.
Councilmember Shmuel.
Yes.
Council President Patel.
Yes. All right, moving on to number 8, new business. Proposed ordinance public hearing set down for Monday, September 9th, 2024. Madam Clerk, please read ordinance 2232.
An ordinance amending section 36-7 major subdivisions, 36-6.1 sketch plat application requirements, 36-9.6 preliminary site plans, 36-9.7 final site plans, 27-2.11 large water services, and 36-8.2 preliminary site plan approval of the Township of Edison to update electronic submission requirements on applications for developments.
May I have a motion to introduce?
Motion to introduce.
You have to read this.
President,
Yes, you're right.
I move this ordinance to be passed on first reading, published according to the law. For further consideration, public hearing set down for September 9th, 2024.
And may I have a second?
Second.
All right, that's a motion motion to introduce by Councilman Shmuel, second by Councilman Pointer. Any councilman comments? All right, seeing none, Madam Clerk, Madam, roll call, please.
Councilmember Brescher.
Yes.
Councilmember Coyle.
Yes.
Councilmember Pointer.
Yes.
Councilmember Shmuel.
Yes.
Council President Patel.
Yes. All right, moving on to number 9. We go with the list? Moving on to number 9, open to public comments on the resolution. Come on up.
Nick Fagan, 42 Edgewood.
You're recognized.
Thank you, Council President. So I have a question, I have several questions on Resolution 487. Resolution designated redeveloper authorizing execution of the redevelopment agreement with Fairway Country LLC regarding the area in need of redevelopment known as 1000 Inman Avenue or the golf range on Inman Avenue. There is backup on the website of the actual resolution and its text, but there is no, there's a Form A listed, but the page is blank. I had asked the clerk for that before the meeting, and I was explained that I cannot have a copy of that as the public until after the resolution is either passed or decided upon.
That is correct. That was under my advice.
Yeah, can you tell me why?
Because it is a draft agreement, but once the resolution is adopted, you can have access to that agreement.
Okay, so, but the,
Draft agreements are not subject to Oprah.
Okay, so the public can't see that, but the council has seen, the council members have seen that, and
Yes.
they are well aware of what's in that document. Okay. Can you tell me more about the principles of Fairway Country LLC?
I'm sorry. I don't think we have that information.
Does Fairway Country LLC, is that represented by Mr. Mark Roshansky? American Dream Developers?
I don't know that.
Is Mr. Ken Jobson part of Fairway Country LLC?
I don't know that.
Don't know. Okay. Is Tricon Construction principal Mr. Robert Karabinchak part of the partnership of Fairway Country LLC?
I don't know that.
Don't know. Okay. I thought planning board resolution, and this is council, I get it, but I thought planning board documents of larger than 10 units require in the law to, require in the city ordinance to fill out a form as to who the principals are of the corporation, who's behind the LLC. Is that not required?
No such law exists with regard to the designation of a redeveloper.
Okay. Is this redevelopment 300 units?
Sonia,
Do we know how many units are in this redevelopment agreement?
I would pass it to the BA to answer. Just give us a second.
I can't, I don't know that, unless Councilman Pointer does.
No, in my review of the agreement, I didn't see any density, like, number associated. Now, in the previous redevelopment plan resolution that we sent to the planning board, that set the guidelines for the zoning of it. But in this particular agreement, I do not recall seeing a set number of units that would be required to be part of it.
Fair enough, thank you. Does this redevelopment agreement adhere to and abide by the density and setback and all of the requirements that were set forth in the redevelopment agreement? The original redevelopment ordinance, which I believe is from 2021. I don't remember the actual O number, but there was a document in 2021 that was approved that set forth what the redevelopment program would be.
I am not familiar with that. Sonia?
Goes to the planning board.
Yeah.
Any redeveloper would have to adhere to the redevelopment plan that was adopted.
Okay, so
Yeah,
it
has
does-
to by law, yeah.
So, okay, so the agreement that we can't see, or
You can't see until later tonight.
until it's been
Assuming it
passed.
gets adopted, yeah.
Okay. Okay, well, I can't comment on whether or not you should pass it or not because I can't see it. And so I find that a fundamental flaw in the process. I guess it's not your fault, but it's kind of a flaw in the process. I do caution the council that development and overcrowding and traffic in our town is a disaster. I'll tell you a story. My little one is in travel baseball this year, and we've gotten to explore the state of New Jersey because of it.
Point of
And-
order?
Yeah. I'll get there. Real quick.
One sec. We have a
Yes.
point of order. Can we pause this time?
I understand this is for the resolutions. I just want to make sure we don't go a couple peers off track.
I just want to provide legal counsel that Councilman Pointer is absolutely correct. The speaker has gone beyond what is no longer speaking on the
Nick,
resolution
if you-
and is out of
Bring it
order.
up. I'll bring it up respectfully. I'll bring it up in open
Sounds good.
comment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Anybody else? Get your copy back.
They're talking. It's even
Good evening.
Elizabeth Conway, 20 Netherwood Circle.
You're recognized.
Thank you. Here, I have a question about the Resolution 487. And this particular plan of redevelopment seems to come in waves every once in a while. And I'm sure I probably won't be around by the time it's done, but I know there's a number of steps that have to be taken. So could you explain what this step means without giving away anything that you don't want to tell me anyway?
Tom.
You want me to handle that? I can take, you just want to go through the entire redevelopment process, just from the beginning? Is that what you're asking?
No.
Okay.
Where are we? What kind of step is this? Are we at the very beginning? Have we moved on a couple of steps where they've gotten approval? Where are we? John seems to give me a look.
You want to take it? Okay.
It's technically the second to last step. Now, the last step would be after the redevelopment plan and all of that's situated and redevelopers agreed to, they still have to go to the planning board to get the plan approved. So that's technically the last step before any development would occur. This part right here is one step behind that. So
what are you doing?
This would be authorizing the Fairway Country Club LLC to actually perform the development on the lot, the actual development itself, like the
So where the golf range
specifics.
is?
Yes, they would still have to go to the planning board, though, to get their approval within the guidelines of the redevelopment plan.
So they haven't done any of that yet?
No.
Okay. And you have no idea what they're putting up yet?
In terms of size, architecture, and all that?
What it is?
Just,
I mean, you've heard
senior
many
housing
things
based
over
on-
the years, but no specifics.
Based on the redevelopment plan, I believe it's senior housing as far as what the exact heights and widths and depths of the units are. I do not know that for you right now.
Okay, so that hasn't gone before the planning board yet?
Correct.
Okay, so even though it's one of the last steps, this is a giant step. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Mary Ann Hennessy and Edison.
You're recognized.
Thank you. Resolution 472-08204. Resolution requesting approval of items of revenue from the opioid money.
472.
472.
Okay, what's the question on that?
The question on that is, I listened to the work session, and I understand that we will be looking, from the business administrator's comments, we're going to be looking for two separate people to work in programs. Okay, my question is, this is $586,684.25. How much is estimated to be taken out of that amount for those two positions? And will that money remain there for next year or the year after to hire? Will it be coming out of that, or then does it convert into salary money?
So as of right now, I know this is not the only opioid money we got. We have a lot more coming in. Sonia, can you elaborate on that?
Sure, correct. So we have quite a bit of funding that has come out of the opioid monies through various vendors. And what I mentioned on Monday evening was that we have to be creative, and there are really strict guidelines on what we can use the money for. And one I mentioned was two positions to address issues with substance abuse. To make part of our program. So two positions, community outreach, and that would come out of this, not just this, but whatever else we have in the account. And I can certainly provide an updated amount to the council.
From opioid settlements, there's been a lot of lawsuits going pretty much everywhere, and we did get a lot of money, but they come with very heavy stipulations as to what we can use those money for. So we cannot necessarily use it for road. Are you okay?
Put the lock on this thing.
We should consider that. But we cannot use it for like road paving or anything like that. So I think we got millions of dollars, but I don't know the exact amount, so don't quote me on it, but we have a lot of money coming in from various sources for opioid purposes. And one of the stipulations that we can use for is community outreach, and so that is why we're going to be using that money for.
So it's just coming out of this particular amount of money that's being given?
Yes.
There'll be other things coming out of this money as well?
Yes, but
Besides these two?
we don't know yet as to what that will be.
All right, so out of this amount of money, are you putting money aside? Say you don't get anybody until next year. So you use the money out of here for next year. Are you putting money aside for 2026 to pay the salary?
So this money is coming into us, but it doesn't necessarily mean we have to use it right away. So if we, like, let's say $1 million comes in, it'll sit there and it'll be stipulation that we can use it for specific things. So till we don't hire someone, we're not going to start using that money, or till we decide what we want to do, what we can do with that money, we're not going to use it. It's just going to sit there.
Right, but my eventuality is when you utilize the money and it's not there anymore, and there's no more money coming in from Janssen Pharmaceuticals or whoever it is that's been sued and has to come to the state, what are you going to do about those positions? Are they going to stay, or are you going to have to look for more grant money?
Council President, these
Yes,
are temporary positions, so, and
I'm sorry.
they're temporary positions, so they would be noted as such in the advertisement.
So they're only temporary, they won't be permanent.
They will not be in the budget, no.
How long would the temporary position be?
I don't know, you're asking
it a year?
hypothetical questions.
We don't, this is not necessarily decided. The question on Monday was, what can we use that money for? And that was an answer that BA gave hypothetically that we could use it for. It's not necessarily, we haven't hired anybody.
Right.
We haven't actually done any of the act. I was just curious as to what this money can be used for.
Well, I understand that, but I'm concerned that we can maintain an amount of money going forward.
So as the-
once we use up whatever we have,
Again, as
what happened? And you and I going back and forth.
so, let me-
I'm just going to give up on that part.
Okay.
I really am, because my main concern is it's an ongoing problem. It's never going to go away. It's never going to get any better, and it will progressively get worse. And I just want to make sure that we are understanding that we have to maintain these people. Therefore, we have to consider where we're going to put the money. I mean, like if you get $1 million, can you take their salary and project it for 2 or 3 years and set it aside like you do? You don't like the word, the slush fund. Wherever it's going into, can it be allocated within that funds to pay for those salaries for at least 2, 3, or 4 years? Because like I say, it isn't going away.
So, yes.
I mean, I know from within family, it is not going to go away. It is the worst monkey on your shoulder. You never get rid of it, regardless of how hard you try. And I just don't want sources of counsel, et cetera, to disappear. And that's my question. Can we reserve money specifically for that area within wherever your slush money is?
So this is going to be, again, just to clarify, this money is coming in. We haven't decided what to do with it. One of the things we can do with it is hire people, and we are looking into it. And even if we, to your concern, that, this money will be used for something else, it will not be. It will be used for opioid.
Right, I'm not worried about that. I understand
So
that you're
then
going to do it. My concern is you will utilize the money and
Ms.
run out
Hennessy,
of the
your
money.
time is up.
Time's
but
elapsed.
I'm gonna
just to
sit.
just to clarify, you can sit down. I'll finish my thought. But just to clarify, that money will be used for benefits to community outreach and any other stipulation that money comes in with.
They got snow in Lake Tahoe already. Jeez. Anthony Diamond, Wiley Ave.
You recognized?
Thank you. Just on resolution 487, I think that is.
Is that 487?
487, yes. The previous speaker brought it up. A sitting assemblyman, I guess, may be part of this LLC and profit from this, and we don't know that to be the case, though. Is that correct?
I'm not sure about that.
Okay. So sitting assembly. All right. Well, listen, I'm going to definitely keep my eyes on this one. This is interesting. All right. Thank you.
Council President, Joyce, you can come on.
Joyce Freeman. I'm concerned about 498, about the rubber cycle. Like what materials is the rubber cycle made for the playground and surfacing? Because I know all the problems we had in Minnie Beeville with mercury. So I get like a little skeptical when I see something with rubber cycle on it. So could you give me a explanation for that?
Sure, Sonia?
It's rubberized, and part mulch, so those are the materials.
What's the rubber, what this consists of? People tell me rubberized before, but that wound up being filled with mercury. So what's the ingredients, what's the purpose of this rubber cycle rather than, the mulch and some other things that we have? And where would the rubber cycle be located at in the Lake Papiani area?
It should be by the park and the playground surfacing. That's what they'll be used at. But to your concern, Sonia, would this be tested for mercury? Is this something that we should be concerned about?
Not at all.
Okay.
I heard that before, and it was still mercury on the stuff. But number 2, I wanted to ask about, people tell me anything. I wanted to ask about the grant.
What number is
Are
that?
we securing a grant on 474 for the installation of a splash park to cover the cost of that? Because I'm figuring if we get that money, then maybe we can put one on the north side. I'll be happy if we get it. Are we getting it?
We are getting that grant.
Okay, so that frees up money to go on the other side, right? Because y'all repurpose money all the time, so I figured you can repurpose it to put a splash park on the north side. That would be very, very good at all. And actually, maybe the park would probably be full. Thank you.
Council
Thank you.
President, just to clarify, it's related to the current splash park.
Okay.
That's where this funding is going into.
Yep. All right, so just to clarify, this funding, the grant funding, is for the current splash park. Thank you. Anybody else? All right.
Motion to close the public portion?
May I have a second? Second. All right, that's motion by Councilman Coyle and second by Councilman Shmuel. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. I'm sorry, I'm lost. Yeah, I'm on the wrong page. It's like motion to adjourn. What a thing. All right, anything to pull for a separate vote? Councilman Brescher?
473,
473,
498,
498,
505, 511,
505 and 511, okay?
and 519.
And 519. All right. Anybody else that would like to pull anything?
Council President, I was just trying to get the number, but the opioid, I want to do for a separate vote.
Sorry, repeat that?
The opioid grant for a separate,
You want to pull it for a separate vote? Okay.
Madam Clerk, that number is?
The 472.
472, thank you.
Council President,
Councilman Pointer?
try pull 475, I believe it is.
Okay. Anybody else? All right. Seeing none. So consent agenda is going to be 405 to 471 and 473 to 474, 476 through 486. You pulled out 487, right?
472.
No.
No, okay, so then 480.
473.
So 480, sorry. So this is not pulled out. So 486 through 497, and then 498 is pulled. 499 through 504, 505 is pulled. 506 through 510, 511 is pulled, 512 through 518, 519 is pulled, 520 to 523. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve the consent agenda?
May I have a second?
Second.
All right, that's a motion by Councilman Pointer, a second by Councilman Coyle. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Brescher.
Yes.
Councilmember Coyle.
Yes.
Councilmember Pointer.
Yes.
Councilmember Shmuel.
Yes.
Council President Patel.
Yes. So I'll just go down the line. Councilman Coyle, you have the first one, 472.
Council President, just want to celebrate my colleagues of this grant and the opportunity to help so many people in Edison, in opioids, mental health, and how sad it is what is going on in the outside world. So many of us have been affected, friends, family, brothers and sisters, colleagues, employees. I'm truly happy to see this opportunity come to fruition. And I want to thank the council and the administration for our previous grants and this grant, and I'm looking forward to the opportunities that we can share with this community, creating programs and possibly some lifetime employees. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Brescher, you were at 473, right?
Yes. Yes, I asked to pull this resolution. Didn't really get to go through the resume of a judge. I'd like to know that the judge had some kind of background of being impartial and being fair before I would appoint one. And since I don't have that, I don't know what the relationship is between the judge and possibly the mayor. I wanted to pull this as a separate vote, so
I think this is a reappointment.
I know,
Okay.
and I don't know where that went, but I do know that certain residents here, personally, I feel that the mayor has been using our legal system against residents that speak out against him. That's my personal opinion. And because of that, I just don't feel comfortable moving forward with the legal system and the judges that we have until I could possibly meet them, speak to them, and feel really where they are as far as being impartial. So that's why I asked for it to be pulled.
Okay.
Thank you.
So you know what, should we do this? Should we do it individually, or do you want to pull everything separately, or do you want to do everything as a block for you?
No. No, they'd have to be separate because one of them, I have something I want to say, but I will vote yes on it.
All right, so then, you know what, we'll do everything at the end, we'll just make the comments, or do you want to do it now? You know, let's just do 472 first.
Okay.
Motion to adopt 472.
All right, may I get a second?
I'll second it, but can I make is there councilor comment?
Yeah.
I guess after, but I second it.
The 472, this the Councilman Coyle.
Oh, this is 472.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, because he pulled that, so Councilman Coyle.
The opioid.
I'm sorry. I'm thinking, I'm sorry. My apologies.
It kind of went backwards, I
Yeah.
just wanted to get it, yes, because there's so many
I think
separate
that
ones,
was
I didn't want to, yeah.
Got it.
All right,
Sorry.
So, motion by Councilman Coyle, second by Councilman Pointer. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Brescher.
Yes.
Councilmember Coyle.
Yes.
Councilmember Pointer.
Yes.
Councilmember Shmuel.
Yes.
Council President Patel.
Yes. Now, moving on to 473, did you have comments, Councilman Pointer?
Yes, as you mentioned, this is a reappointment. The original appointment was back in 2022, so any of that backup as to qualifications should have already been in front of us. If I said yes then, I feel comfortable I did my research back then. Thank you, Council President.
I'll take a motion for 473.
Motion 473.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All right, that's a motion by Councilman Coyle, second by Councilman Shmuel. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Brescher.
No.
Councilmember Coyle.
Yes.
Councilmember Pointer.
Yes.
Councilmember Shmuel.
Yes.
Council President Patel.
Yes. Moving on to 475, I think that's the next one.
That was by.
Thank you, Council President. I failed to make any mention. I think it would just be inconsiderate if I didn't. The work that the Water and Sewer Department do for our township is superb, it's immeasurable, it's a valuable asset to the township. So with that, I just want to say thank you to Bob Smith, to Roger, to James, the entire crew of the Water and Sewer Departments. I appreciate everything that you guys do for us. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman Pointer. May I get a motion to approve 475?
Motion to approve?
Second.
All right, that's motion by Councilman Pointer, second by Councilman Coyle. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Brusher.
Yes.
Councilmember Coyle.
Yes.
Councilmember Pointer.
Yes.
Councilmember Shmuel.
Yes.
Council President Patel.
Yes. And I think the next one is 498, right? Councilman Brescher?
498 is the next one.
Yes, 498. This is that rubber recycling thing. You know, I do know, like the business administrator said, that there's nothing hazardous here at this time. Unfortunate for me, I happen to be quite a bit older than she is. So I was around during the time when actually lead paint really wasn't that bad. In fact, they used to paint your houses with lead paint. And here today I sit with the government affairs coordinator for the Realtors Association for the state that's asking for us to pass a law to remove lead paint. So over the course of my life, I've seen the professionals, the educated, the professors, the smartest people we had that told me that it was the greatest product in the world. And what I've come to realize is that these people really don't know. But what I do know is that rubber and plastic is not good for the human body. And do I want to see it around our children? Absolutely not. I've spoken out numerous times about our athletic fields with the turf. I myself voted for the athletic field with the turf, but I've argued with everybody that wanted it, because one day they're going to come around and they're going to go, it was a problem. So, you know, because of this, I wanted it pulled. I wanted to make a statement that it is not good. I don't care what the professionals tell you. 20 years from now, you're going to hear that it's bad, and your grandchildren or great-grandchildren are going to go, you know, how did my grandfather or grandmother actually believe that this was good? Okay, because that's just history. So at this present time, I'll be voting no on this.
All right, thank you, Councilman Brescher. Any other council member?
Motion approved 498.
All right, may I have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, that's a motion by Councilman Coyle, second by Councilman Pointer. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Brusher.
Yes. Oh, wait a minute. That was a no.
I was going to say, you just got done. Wait a
I
second.
can't change his vote.
Yes, that's a no.
Councilmember Coyle.
Yes.
Councilmember Pointer.
Yes.
Councilmember Shmuel.
Yes.
Council President Patel.
Yes. All right, moving on to the next one, R 505.
505.
Councilman Brescher, 505.
Okay, 505, the various plumbers. Quick question for that. That's for us to hire outside, like plumbing contractors to do plumbing work within the township?
Yes, work that's out of the scope of what we can do in-house.
Okay, and what I'd like to say with that is, being that we're a municipality, being that we own a water department, being that we manage a sewer department, I'd find it appalling to say that there is plumbing work that we could not handle. And if that's the case, then the director of whatever department we're talking about, right, should go for training and bring people in for training. There's no reason for us to go to outside vendors and pay their additional markups. They all have to hire union people because we all passed these PLA agreements. So now we're required by law really to hire union contractors. So our men are union, so we're not saving. It's not about saving money. Our men should be qualified, and if they're not, they should be trained. So under that goes back to my whole principle with the Suez and not selling everything. We should do it in-house, and if the people that we have that are in charge can't do it in-house, then they should resign. And, you know, unfortunately, you should find somebody that could actually do all these jobs. So for this one, yes, I'll be voting no also.
Any other council members?
Council President,
Councilman Shmuel?
can I, to the VA, is there a reason why we don't do this in-house?
We do a lot of work in-house. This is in the event that we can't, and we don't have to spend all of this. This is not to exceed amount. But by law, so that in the case there's an emergency that requires us to go to a plumbing company, we go out to bid, we go through the bidding process, and this is the list of vendors we use. Doesn't mean that we're going to use it. This is just, again, this is a safety net for us to do throughout the year.
All right. Any other council members? All right, seeing none, can I get a motion to approve R505?
Motion to approve 505.
May I have a second?
Second.
All right, that's a motion by Councilman Coyle, second by Councilman Pointer. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Brescher.
No.
Councilmember Coyle.
Yes.
Councilmember Pointer.
Yes.
Councilmember Shmuel.
Yes.
Council President Patel.
Yes. On to you, R511, Councilman Brescher.
Yes. This is a rec department reimbursement. Is this something like where, or I didn't get to go through those documents because I didn't have that drive, but is this for like our employees, they might go to a seminar or something like that, and this is an expense that they had there?
I would assume. Sonia?
No, this is for someone that didn't go on a recreation trip. So this is a refund to that resident or person who did not go.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Thank you.
May I have a motion to approve R5 up, if any other council members want to speak? All right, motion to approve R511.
A motion to approve.
May I have a second?
Second.
All right, that's motion by Councilman Brescher, second by Councilman Coyle. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Brescher.
Yes.
Councilmember Coyle.
Yes.
Councilmember Pointer.
Yes.
Councilmember Shmuel.
Yes.
Council President Patel.
Yes. And on to the last one, R519, Councilman Brescher.
Yes. You know, I get lost with the administration sometimes. I got told that we wanted toolboxes, so it had a uniform for aesthetics. And now here we have a Jeep. I don't know how many Jeeps we own, but it seems like we own a lot of Fords and Chevys. And I was told that we need this Jeep in case it's really muddy so that we can get in those areas with the Jeep. Now, the problem I have with the Jeep is I have had a Jeep myself personally. What you can't do with the Jeep is you really can't go off-road. You snap axles, you snap tie rods, you snap everything. In fact, had to be pulled out by a Dodge pickup. And as far as off-road and in the mud, anybody, and I'm sure there's people here that have done it, the biggest attribute to it are the tires, not the vehicle per se. So if you have like an all-wheel drive vehicle and it's got like, it's got a differential in it that doesn't just slip, so it goes to the rear tires. Now I sound like that Marissa Tomei thing, right, in the movie where it spins in the mud. But if the tires are large enough, it can get out of the mud. So for me, it just doesn't make sense to have a Jeep as opposed to a Chevy or a Ford. And I don't know why we're introducing new automobiles, into this, except to say that maybe somebody just wants to drive a Jeep, probably because they never owned one before. Right, I like that just pulled because on this one I wanted to vote no. Thank you.
Okay. Any other council members? All right, seeing none, may I have a motion to approve R519?
Motion to approve.
May I have a second?
Second.
All right, that's a motion by Councilman Pointer, second by Councilman Shmuel. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Brescher.
No.
Councilmember Coyle.
Yes.
Councilmember Pointer.
Yes.
Councilmember Shmuel.
Yes.
Council President Patel.
Yes. And
That's it.
that's it. Moving on to number 11, oral petition and remarks. He's not there. All right, so I would take any comments. Actually, Councilman Coyle. Councilman Coyle.
Just for oral petition remarks? We go by the list, or? There's no list. Just by call of hands, anybody new that hasn't been here before that wants to speak? Is there anybody new that's here that wants to raise their hand that hasn't spoken before? Ms. Conway? I'm sorry, gentleman in the orange. I'm sorry, Ms. Conway, if you don't mind, just out of professional courtesy.
Good evening. Thomas Leckie, Netherwood Circle.
Welcome, you're
Some old
recognized.
business. A few months back, I came here, talked about cricket play at John Adams Middle School. I was told to take it offline. I did. I've yet to hear anything on it, just crickets. I was wondering what has happened. Have I been heard? What's going to happen? What plan of action is being taken by the town council in conjunction with the Board of Ed? That's my first topic. Second one, last month I came here, talked about policing, trying to get speeds under control, people stopping on, no turn on red, not going through red lights. I don't know if it's just coincidental, but the deputy chief or chief isn't here. From what I saw, what I've seen a couple police officers stop, vehicles on the streets. Hopefully that's taken into effect. Now, new business. My water heater went, contracted a company to come in. They said they came, got the construction permit for the water heater. Being a senior, I'm entitled to reduced permit fees as well as sewer bills and all that sort of stuff. I went to the senior center, put my name in, registered with them, and my water bill or my sewer bill was reduced accordingly. When I went to get the construction permit, I was told that the fee is $63. And I said, but wait a minute, I'm a senior. What's that? Oh, that's, you are? So it was substantially reduced down to $3. I was like, okay, great, fine. Now, I didn't bring my checkbook with me. So they said, I went to take cash out of my pocket. Oh, we can't take cash here. Okay. So I took the I took a credit card out, paid with a credit card, hit me with a fee to use my credit card. But yet, I can go to I can pay my taxes and my sewer bill at the tax collector, and I've seen people pay with cash, pay with checks and all. Why can't the same be applied up at the where you pick up your permits? And additionally, why should I have had to go and tell them, well, I'm a senior, show my ID and all that? That information should be, that I gave when I registered as a senior, should be disseminated to the different departments. Why do I, if my contractor was picking up the permit, he wouldn't know. They would say $63. Okay, here's the $63, and now I got to come and request the money back from you and get a resolution passed and all that sort of stuff to refund my money. Just seems like there's a D-link in the system somewhere. So just moving forward, maybe the township needs to take a step back and understand how they treat or the information that they receive from the seniors, so that we don't get overcharged for services for that construction permits. And last, what I'd like to talk about is we're in I guess West Nile, mosquitoes are bad right now. Can the town be a little proactive rather than reactive and maybe start spraying? I understand that. I just learned tonight, you can call up Middlesex Mosquito Commission and they can come and spray your house. But it's not just my house. There's a creek across the street from me that's not that standing water. The town should go and start spraying earlier than later to go and to help with eliminating the potential for residents to contract West Nile. So that's all I want to say. And if Councilman, through the chair, if Councilman Pointer can shed some light on the cricket issues, I'd really appreciate it, because I happen to see that the play more and more and more often. Maybe because I'm looking for it, but it's just a little bit more obvious. I don't mind people playing, but play where you're supposed to. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Pointer?
Thank you, Council President. Yes, I know I did ask about this being discussed offline the last time we did speak about it. July, there was no education liaison meeting, which I said I would bring up at the next one. That next one happened to have been August 6th or 7th, whatever that Tuesday was. I did bring it up to the Board of Education, which also did have members from the administration there, obviously the Board of Ed members, their administration there, just to make them aware of it and see what can be done. I know from an enforcement aspect, I believe trespassing stuff is on the township, and I understand the concern in regards to material damage. I really don't want to be having calling police officers on kids playing, though. That's kind of like the last resort.
It's
And I
adults.
don't think that's what you're
It's
aiming
adults.
for.
It's 30, 40 something's playing. Oh, and one other thing I forgot to mention. I had come up a while back during the previous school year and talked about people parking illegally on New Dover Road, forcing people to move into the opposing lane, which then creates a whole bunch of traffic, other issues and litigation, possible potential litigation. The one other thing that, what the town council or I don't know, the school board did, they put a sign up that was removed after the school year, no stopping, keep moving. If that could be put up again, that way, we're trying to be a little proactive, as I said before, rather than reactive, to keep it safe for not only the students, people picking them up, but also the people, driving on the roads. So, thank you. But yeah, I'll wait to hear more from about the cricket play.
Yeah, and if I misunderstood about the age of the individuals going, I apologize.
Okay. Councilman Brescher?
Yes, I have a question, probably for the attorney, and I know he's not here right now, but here's my question, and when he comes back, maybe if it could be asked of him. Like I'm big on the whole Constitution and all of this kind of stuff. I was told that money, our currency, is called legal tender, and that by law, any business or any entity is required by law to accept that. And that's where you see those YouTube videos of a guy paying a $500 bill with thousands of pennies, right? And it becomes comical. But how could a government not accept cash? So it's a question I have. I mean, I think by law we have to. I don't know why we wouldn't accept cash.
So, Sonia, why do we not accept cash? Because this is, I think, an important question to me as well. Because if it makes it easier for him to pay by cash, I think we should accept cash. So just curious.
I just want to clarify, the department was in the construction building? In the building and zoning?
Okay, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I just want to reference the attorney. If there is something that we are not allowed to take cash, not aware of any specific law that we're not allowed to take cash,
Yeah, we can take cash, yeah.
can certainly take cash. So I will look into what the procedure has been upstairs.
Yeah, can we make sure that we accept cash everywhere? Because I think that is I don't want to go to a cashless society if we can avoid that.
From a
And
practical
I'll
standpoint.
tell you
I
why I
understand.
bring this up, Council President. A few years ago, our neighboring town of Woodbridge, I had to go pay, maybe it was a ticket or something. It was in their police department area, so I assume it was a ticket. And I went down with cash, and they told me that they don't accept cash, that I had to give them like a bank check, and that I could go next door to the 7-Eleven and give them the cash and pay the fee to then come back and pay them. And, at the time I was busy, I was working. I mean, right now, that I would fight and I go to court with, you know what I mean?
Some municipalities have made that move and have decided as a policy to not accept cash, but that's a municipality by
But let
municipality
me ask you a
decision.
question. Isn't cash, and this is why I was waiting for you to come back, isn't cash United States tendered currency and is required to be accepted by law?
I honestly, I don't know if it's been challenged, but I do know, I have seen municipalities across the state moving away or adopting policies not to accept cash. Has anyone challenged that? Not that I'm aware of.
No one, so you're not aware of anybody challenging accepting cash?
And
No, I am not, but I have seen but as I've said, it's a municipality's decision whether or not you as a body want to accept cash or not. Yeah.
And I have seen laws being passed in other cities, in other states that prevent cashless stores. So like you have to have stores that you can't go completely cashless. You cannot, and you have to provide them the ability to get cash, or like if they have cash, be able to put it into a card and pay it, even if they do go with just card. So you can't, remove cash out of the equation.
Right, because this sounded like a setup. Or, we won't take the cash, but we're going to charge you the extra fee.
Yeah,
So they'll get a bank check, right?
Okay.
And also moving on to the data management aspect of it, Sonia, I do agree with the gentleman that if, we know that this person who is elder or senior, and we should be able to mark it through the whole department, and rather than him having to individually go to departments and tell them, which I think is just convenience factor.
I could tell. I could just look into what the policy has been. Certainly, this administration hasn't changed any policy related to taking cash or not taking cash, but I will look into that
Oh,
in
the
reference
cash-
to our seniors.
Yep, cash thing, definitely. And also, if we mark someone as senior, I think that should be passed on to all the departments to make it convenient for the residents. And I think that's all I remember from this. All right, moving on. Come on up. Well, I already recognized her.
Joe.
Oh, Joe said it, sorry. He didn't pass the message to me. You can come on up.
Elizabeth Conway, 20 Netherwood Circle.
You're recognized.
Thank you. I live off of Inman Avenue. And if you've driven on Inman Avenue, you know Inman Avenue. My concern, and I brought this up quite a while ago, was the T of where Inman Avenue goes into Old Raritan Road. And if you're going to make a left onto Old Raritan, you really can't see anybody coming from the right side because there's bushes along there. And I know Councilman Pointer, he might have been the president at the time, I know he looked into it because a day or two later or a week later, the bushes were pruned. But at the time, there was no leaves on the bushes, so you could see through the bushes if you wanted to look to the right. But the bushes do get leaves. So when you're going to make that left, you really have to be careful because people coming out of Old Raritan from like the Scotch Plains area, you may not be able to see them. And what happens is people coming from South Plainfield, some people are very courteous and they'll put their right turn signal on to let the people know coming out of Inman Avenue that, you know, you can go because we're going to turn in. But it's very dangerous. And I've brought it to the attention that something needs to be done at that T. It's not an intersection, it's a T. Well, the other night, I'm coming back from South Plainfield, and we're coming up Old Raritan to make the right, and my husband put the turning signal on, and the car proceeded to go because he knew we were turning in. Well, needless to say, someone was coming from the Scotch Plains and did not see, and nobody saw, so he came out, and we're coming to make the right all at once, and it could have turned into a horrific accident of all 3 cars. Now, we're not going 50 miles an hour, but you're going 25, 30 miles an hour, and you're slowing down to make the turn. He's slowing down to make the turn, but the other car was not slowing down. He was going straight. So something needs to be done about that T, because looking to the right, coming off Inman Avenue, is very dangerous. And I brought it to the attention, and I know you tried with the bushes, but the bushes, I don't even know, like by where my house is, you've got the curb, you've got an apron, you've got a sidewalk, and then you've got a couple more feet before my property becomes official. Well, those bushes are not that far from the edge, and there's really no curb. And something needs to be done about it before somebody else or me winds up in a terrible accident. So if you could possibly look into that again, I would appreciate it. Now, moving down the road about a mile, you get to the T of Inman and Rahway. And I know there was something a few years ago, I want to say it was maybe Councilman Lombardi that was talking about it, and he was trying to get some kind of light or something at that, because that's a terrible intersection. And people want to make coming out of Rahway 2 lanes when it's really not wide enough, and then somebody going to make a right into Rahway has become a real problem. So I know he had tried it, and for some reason it was turned down, that we couldn't get it. So what I'm asking, can we move it down to Tingley and Inman Avenue and have the light either make a left or go straight? It would be advantageous for the school and would be advantageous for the people riding down Inman Avenue, because where I live, where just past the Gulf Range that's under redevelopment, sometimes to make a left out onto Inman Avenue, the cars are stopped because of so much traffic going down Inman Avenue to the west. So if something could be done about that, I would truly appreciate it. So those 2 places need some kind of positive attention. And my only other thing was, I was kind of shocked that your resolution went through regarding the playground rubber. I was involved with James Madison Primary many years ago, and we had 200 volunteers install a playground using rubber. And the children loved it, and it was fabulous. But if you look now, it's a bus depot, because they had to take it down because rubber was a no-no. Well, the parks look very nice with that soft, rubberized grounding. But if rubber is a problem, are we really going to spend this kind of money and then find down the road that, no, it's really not as good as we thought? We need to think about it. And it's going underneath fields, and it's the topping in playgrounds. So we really need to consider.
Thank you.
Speaker's time is elapsed.
I'm done.
So answering your questions on the Old Raritan Road in Inman, Sonia, I know we looked at the T section. Is that something we can do, maybe like a stop sign there or a red light there? Is there anything that we can do like that over there?
We've actually had our traffic division, and the chief can speak to that in terms of any remediation on that level. Our engineering department, who also went out there, according to our ordinance, the placement of the bushes is fine. However, he's been reviewing all of the DOT federal guidelines. We've spoken to council about it. The long and short of it, it's become an enforcement issue. And if the bushes are grown and are back, then we'll have to go out there and make sure that we continue the enforcement.
But my question being that, is there something we can do beyond that, like a stop sign? Because I don't know if that's something we can do over there or no.
Is stating that he will look into that.
Okay. And same thing with the Inman and the Raritan. And
Speaker's time's elapsed.
your
Stop
time,
sign, Tim.
sorry, you cannot speak.
I'm going to sit down then.
Mr. President, we did have a traffic study there. I will check personally tomorrow, my traffic unit, and I will review everything that they did there at that time.
Okay.
We do have enforcement up there. We have our traffic bureau go up there and issue summonses for people that are they're violating our laws up there too. So we'll look more closely at it, and I'll see what I can do for you.
Sounds good, thank you. And as for the rubberization, I have a study here from EPA dated 2024, April 2024. To me, again, there could be speculation, but as of this study, it seems to be okay. But it's just like back in the day, they might have thought something was safe, and in the future, they might find something new. It is possible. But as of right now, I can only go with the information I have. I cannot necessarily speculate and say it's definitely going to be bad. But as from the EPA, the study, it seems it should be okay and is as equivalent to playing out in the grass because the same amount of chemicals and stuff is in the dirt. But I can forward this to anybody that wants it. More than happy to. All right, moving on. Anybody else that would like to speak?
Council President?
Just one sec.
I'm
Councilman Quinn.
sorry, can I just ask a request of the chief when he looks at the Inman and Old Raritan?
Yes.
An idea that I had forwarded along, I'm not sure if it was relayed. When I go up Burchard Street in my area to Grandview, because of the hill, there's a concave mirror that's on one of the posts there. Now, when you're going from Inman across the street, there's a post there. So I'm wondering if maybe even a concave mirror may be helpful just to see around that corner. Just a thought, a suggestion. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman Pointer. All right, anybody that would like to speak?
Hi,
Hi.
Mary Ann Hennessy.
You're recognized.
This one's a little bit longer, but before I do that, may I ask from the council president to the BA?
What is the question?
It has to do with the stop sign.
Okay, what is it?
I can't tell you the name of the street. For all these years I've lived here, I don't think of it. But it's the street between Route 27 and the conflicting report as to whether a bakery is going to go into the empty property lot. Someone took down the stop sign months ago, and it's never been replaced. And it's coming out from behind Burger King to come out onto 27. So if whoever needs to know about it, can they put the stop sign back up there?
Okay.
Yep, we'll look into it.
Thank you very much. Now, my long comment. Amboy Avenue. Okay. I'm really unsatisfied with the way the planning board takes this issue and looks at it and checks it out and then sends it to you, and you look at it and check it out and send it back to them, and they're looking at it again. To me, that's the old shell game with Amboy Avenue being under the middle, and you just keep moving things around and you don't solve the problem. Now, you've got a problem there because the planning board screwed up. There was a property at 1039 Amboy Avenue that was in under a company called A&D Holdings. And they were supposed to come up with a decision within a specific length of time, and they didn't. Now A&D can go in there and get a 4-story building put on it. And it is 1039 Amboy Avenue, Lot 1.03, Block 727. And that's a perfect example of a messed up system. Someone screwed up. Someone didn't check their tickler calendar, that we had to do in the corporate world, to understand that there was a time frame, and they missed it. And now you've got the potential of being able to put a 4-story in there because you did nothing to take the 4-story out and go back to a 3-story. I don't live there. I feel sorry for everybody that lives in that area that has been simply asking you time after time after time to take that out and make it 3 stories. And neither one of you, planning nor you, have done it. And now you've got this. You've got it. And it's going to go down to the court in New Brunswick, and you're going to be told nothing you can do about it because you screwed up. So I'm telling you how angry I am about that. I have a question regarding, I can't find it. There were 2 areas that were open. Resolution 489, resolution amending 3 RFPs of professional contract awards for engineering. What were they for? I mean, if they've got an RFP, they've got a, it's an RFP 2406, 2407, and 2408 going to T&M Associates. What is it?
I think this is just a list of engineering firms that we could use, and we're just adding one more engineering list to that. So we already have an existing pool of engineering firm that we can use, and this is just an addition to that engineering firm.
Well, it'd be nice if it would be saying that you were adding it, because it got me frustrated as to what it is. All you're saying is amending. And when you read it, you think, well, what are you amending under 2406, 2407, and 2408?
So it says to include T&M Associates, so we're adding that one more engineering firm. That's what that amendment is.
Okay, all right. Here comes my favorite comment to you. Project manager. You're talking about doing it. Get it done, because you've now got another change order for the Toth Center that should have been found before you even started this, when you had a project manager who would sit down, look at the project, review it, say, oh, hey, this building was from da-da-da-da-da, so there's asbestos. Let's put that in there to do it. Get it in there in the beginning. The water system that there with contamination is another thing that should have been within the system and not coming in as a change order. It should have been there in the beginning. It's simple. When you do a construction job, you know you need to look at these things. I'm sorry? Thank you. Also, I'm just curious, there's like 4 or 5 awarding of playground equipment to 2 different companies. Can anybody ever put out a list and tell us what kind of equipment and where it's going? And if you're going to be putting in a pickleball court up behind the senior center off of Woodbridge Avenue, could you consider putting in benching or seating? Because I think you do that on an appointment basis. You just don't walk in and play. So there's no place for anybody to sit down. If you want to take your children along with you, there's no place to sit. And it's the same at the playground on Vineyard, going to Sam's Club. You have no place to sit.
And what was the first one that you mentioned beside the Vineyard one?
It's the new one they want to put in, the 451,000.
Council President, the speaker's time has elapsed.
Thank you for.
I realize my time's elapsed. I heard it. Thank you very much.
So I will.
Good evening.
I will mention to the BA to add seating, because I think that's a good idea. In terms of the project manager, I think we have discussed it, and I think the administration is working on that. Anybody else that would like to speak? Come on up.
Arthur Milstein, 4 Comstock Road.
You're recognized.
All right, so I was here last month. I was speaking about the sidewalks, and right after the meeting, Ray from Public Works took my photos and the list, and I sent the information to Sonia. And then a week later, I checked in with Ray to see what's going on. He said he's aware of the issue. He's going to work on it. Haven't heard from him since. 2 weeks later, I reached out to Sonia. Reached out to me. She said she was away. She said that Pat Coyle will reach out to me. Haven't heard anything. So a week later, I emailed saying, "Hey, I want some communication from this because I keep reaching out, and this is my problem in the beginning, and people just keep avoiding me and not responding. So I'm trying to find out what's going to happen because this does not cost the town a penny. These are residents that need to fix their sidewalks. I don't know why the town just doesn't want to go and put notices on the people's houses. No one's contacted me, as a council member said, to do a walkthrough with me. No one's contacted me to do anything. I know that when it snows, the town says you have to shovel your sidewalk because it's dangerous if you leave it unshoveled. So I don't know why this isn't being done. And if people want to, when you guys walk out of your houses, I urge you to walk 1 minute down your street, and I guarantee you're going to find someone's sidewalk that has problems. So I want to thank Sonia for she's the only one that's communicating with me, but everyone else is just silent and nothing's being done.
Sonia, can we follow up? Pat Coyle was supposed to reach out. So.
Oh, I'm sorry. One other thing. And then 2 days ago, Sonia mentioned that it's illegal. It's illegal, but legal is here. I don't see this as a legal question. It's homeowners need to fix their sidewalks.
Well, the reason why I said it's a legal issue, and I've been working with a different attorney in the firm, just to clarify that point. So, sorry, Dave. This is a policy, potential ordinance change, so I have to go through legal to make a proper recommendation to this body about what we can or cannot do. So that's why I said that to the gentleman respectfully. So I'm working with our
I'll follow up
counsel.
with my office to make
I
sure you get an
appreciate
answer
that.
as quickly as possible.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I know that sidewalks were enforced because I mentioned in the last meeting that 3 years ago, a neighbor complained about my sidewalk to the health department. And then 1 week later, I had a notice on my door, fix your sidewalk. My neighbor next to me had a little raise up in the sidewalk because of the tree. He got a notice, fix your sidewalk. So it was enforced on me and my neighbor, but when then I bring it to the attention on a wider scale, seems like to me that it's just getting ignored. So, and it's not just my area. Again, like you said, they should maybe do something in the future where people can point out, hey, this sidewalk is messed up, because walk anywhere and you'll see sidewalks are bad.
I agree.
And I don't want anything to happen with anyone, because as I said in the last time, I almost flipped my son in the stroller because of a sidewalk. So thank you.
Thank you, Arthur. We're going to follow up on that, okay? Thank you.
Council President?
Councilman Brescher?
Yeah, this is a subject, and I don't think actually I got clarity on it, but myself and the business administrator, we talked about where the property line starts. And we weren't really talking about specifics, but what I've been told is that the homeowner owns the curb and the sidewalk here in Edison. There is a house on Kearney Drive at the end of the cul-de-sac that when I looked at the maps that we have, the curb and their property doesn't start until after the sidewalk, like their property line, like on the maps that we have. So I don't know that I don't know that that's for everything, but a lot of residents brought the same frustration to me, where what they said was, you guys put the sidewalks in back in the 1960s, right? My grandfather didn't put it in. You put it in. You planted the tree. The tree roots upended the sidewalk, and now you want me to fix the problem that you guys created. So that doesn't seem fair to the residents either. You know what I mean? So what can be done about this? I mean, this is a valid question. This is throughout the town. It isn't just this gentleman. It's been brought up to me probably 20 times since I've been sitting up here. And I don't really have clarity on this.
Councilman Brescher, I hear your concerns. I don't have a comprehensive plan for you this evening to address this. Clearly, my office has been in contact with Sonia on this. Maybe we can, at a later date, not long from now, have more of a substantive conversation on this.
And just looking at that one aspect too, like on the Kearney Road, if you look at the map, right, for their property line starts after the sidewalk. like their deed.
Okay.
Can you give the exact address of that?
It's a cul-de-sac. It's Andy Fresco's neighbor to the right. Put Andy Fresco.
I think, though, what you're asking for is a more comprehensive way of addressing the issue of tree roots and how they affect the sidewalk.
Sidewalks overall throughout the town.
We're all in agreement that the sidewalk belongs to the individual homeowner, but the question is what happens when roots come from trees?
And also if that particular property is.
Okay.
Yeah, that particular property, because they were complaining about the curb collapsed, and then for them to fix it, but they're like, but the property line, it's not on my property.
Yeah, yeah. I think that is something we have to look at in
Okay.
more detail. Okay, anybody else? Come on up.
Lois Walke, Peak Road.
You recognized?
I came here mainly tonight to thank the Department of Public Works for all their help during the recent tornado in July. I did thank the DPW director by phone, but I'm here tonight to personally thank the DPW employees, the boots on the ground, as they say. I live in the Heights and we were hit pretty hard. I personally had a neighbor's tree fall across my property, blocking my garage. My electric box was ripped from my house, as well as my cable and telephone wires. The DPW workers were on the scene that evening, removing trees in the neighborhood until 1 a.m. I understand from the DPW director that actually they were out working around town till 2:30. At one point, I walked out with bottles of water for them. I'm sure it wasn't easy working at night in that heat, soaring up trees, but they were in amazingly good spirits. A couple of days later, the street sweepers came to clean up. I would like to give a hearty thank you to all the DPW workers and everyone involved doing such a top-rate job. In fact, Councilman Coyle came cruising around the neighborhood that night, surveying damage, and stopped by my house. I think it must have been a scheduling nightmare, but it was a good job, and I want the DPW workers to know they're truly appreciated. Okay, next subject. Okay, I was a little upset with a letter that I got with my recent tax bill. In the letter, the mayor thanked and specifically named only the council members who voted for the budget. Later in the letter, he had yes and no columns and listed all the members who voted for or against the budget. It's nice that the mayor would like to thank council members for voting for the budget, but the entire council should be thanked as a whole. To explicitly single out in one paragraph only the names of the people who voted for the budget certainly appears to be political and petty. Then again, at the end of the letter, having yes and no columns, explicitly listing those council members who voted yes or no on the budget is certainly overkill and again smacks of politics. Actions such as the above certainly give the perception that any council member who votes against something administration wants is perceived as an enemy. I don't always agree with how council members vote, but these actions by administration are a slap in the face and an insult to council members. Whether administration agrees with them or not, they all put in a great amount of time into their positions and should be treated equally and fairly and get all the same amount of respect. There were valid reasons expressed by council members who voted no as to why they voted that way. Good government is all about agreeing and disagreeing on issues. Furthermore, our tax letters should contain information strictly concerning our taxes. It should not be used as a public relations or political vehicle. We are paying a public relations firm for this purpose, and there is also the monthly email newsletter sent out by administration that would be more appropriate. I sent an email on July 29th to Mayor Joshi and a copy to Bob Deal expressing my feelings. I asked for comments or at least an acknowledgement of my email, but I've had no response to either. I'm disappointed, but I'm not all surprised. Another thing, this happened at Monday's work session. I was a little taken aback to see former Councilwoman Ship Freeman taken out of council chambers by the police. Her comments were inaudible, when you listen to it at home, and those of us watching. I've seen residents curse and be unruly and be given multiple chances at meetings and not be thrown out of council chambers. They are not automatically ejected. I saw an unruly, out-of-control crowd at council members about the cannabis ordinance, yelling from the floor, blocking aisles, and repeatedly ignoring requests for order. Not one person was asked to leave. I have seen council members reprimanded by council president due to repeatedly speaking out of turn with no repercussions. I think residents are entitled to clarification now from council president as to what actually happened with Councilwoman Ship Freeman, because I just couldn't believe. So could someone clarify, because we couldn't hear it on the video. So could someone tell us what happened?
You know what? As I announced on the president's remark, you get a warning if you speak out of turn. You get a point of order called. If you continue to speak out of turn, then you will be removed, just as it happened earlier today, if you were here for that. I'm not sure if you were. But that is the simplest rule that we have now. If you follow the rules and you listen to everybody, that is allowed. So you're recognized, you get to speak. No one else gets to speak so that we can hear you. If someone else is speaking without you, if you're recognizing someone else is speaking, we cannot hear you. So in order to keep the decorum of this chamber, we have to follow the rules. And that was what happened. Thank you. Your time is up, so you'll have to sit.
Okay, there's two sides
Council
to
President,
every,
speaker's time
Point of
has
order.
elapsed.
there's two sides to every story.
You'll have to
and
sit down, or I will have to ask you to be removed.
Pardon me?
You will have to be sit down because your time is up, and if you continue, I will have to ask you to be removed. I'm sorry.
Okay, there were two sides to
sorry,
every
please sit
story.
down.
So, okay, I have one more thing.
No, sorry, your time is
Please
up.
sit down.
Why not?
All right, officer, can we have Miss Lewis Wilkie removed?
Because I don't understand why I have to sit down if I just asked a question.
Your time is up, ma'am. You cannot continue.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right.
You're a Ship Freeman, and you're absolutely correct. And through the chair, Chief Bryan, I was very disappointed that Deputy Chief Bob Dudash did not tell the police officer not to walk me out. I sat here and watched people tell him all about their private parts and call him every name in the book. And he sit there like a statue the whole time, okay? Just like the other woman just said. It must be a misogynistic thing, because let me tell you something. I've watched people call you out of your name constantly, and you didn't do nothing because they were males sitting here. You did nothing. I watched the unruly crowds. I watched it back and forth. Now, let me tell you this, explaining this to you. If you have a problem of processing information and comprehending it correctly, and I correct you when you're doing it incorrectly, you know what normal people say? My bad. That's not what you said. This is what you said. I don't act like I'm the king of Siam and I got this thing, and this is the way I'm going to treat people. Because I seen it. He just did that to Lois Wilkie. I seen it. Some people, they get drunk off of power, and I don't understand what the whole thing is. If you get that drunk off of power, maybe you don't need power, okay? And I think it's really disgusting that people would treat people in that manner. It is two sides. And why it was unaudible, because I sat in my seat, and I got thrown out for saying grown men. And I've heard these people, you've heard them too. You've heard the people in here. You heard them say disgusting things. You've heard them all say all kind of things back and forth. And you've heard, and I watch you, even tonight, you allowed the man over there to come back and forth. You allow that back and forth. You let him come back up, because that's what you do, like this. Now, I think it's like, highly disgusting of the behavior, okay? And I think that I've been in this town and I've been here for a long, long time. And let me tell you something. I just wanted to see if y'all would lie to me. In November, we voted on those 3 people and somebody took the one name off. It was just November. November hasn't come again, so it hasn't even been a year since we asked for that raise before, because I know I sat up there when we were asking for that raise, and they took somebody's name off of that. And now, number 2, I get tired of being lied to. I get tired of people thinking that they're God and not treating the people of this community right. A lot of these people, you can look at them. She's been here longer than you've been born. And the disrespect is just ridiculous. It's ridiculous when you come to this chamber, because the people who come here are the people who are interested in this town, who have a vested interest in this town, and has been paying taxes long before a lot of people were born. And number 2, somebody told me to ask you this about TJ, about all the broken sidewalks and all that stuff all around the building. They said, what they supposed to do? That's a dangerous street there. They said, what they supposed to do, walk in the street? See, because I don't know about it. I'm not in there. So they were saying, what's going on with TJ, okay? And they also asked me about the TOF building. They said, what's the deal on the TOF building? Now, do I have to repeat that again and say that slowly so I don't have to go back to my seat and yell back up here again? They want to know about TJ, all the broken sidewalks, and what's going on with that, okay? And they still want to know about the TOF booth and what direction we're going in the TOF booth. And since people like to read, on CBS, they're telling you, is recycling a myth or a miracle? Because guess what? Only 10% of it is able to be recycled. So, look that up. Maybe that'll do you some good. Thank you.
Any council members would like to answer that? All right.
Well, a question about sidewalks.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can we replace sidewalks, or is the school now treated like the resident and the school owns the sidewalks?
Cool.
Okay, well, maybe in that liaison committee that happens, maybe something can happen, because what I do know is that the township does not pay the schools as per state law. If they did, and they paid as per law, the schools would receive approximately $200,000 additional money in interest, and that additional money in interest they could then use for sidewalks or whatever that might be. So the reason why there was this liaison thing was that there should be like a give and take. I know that the township picks up the recyclables and things like that, so there is a give and take. But, something like that where you do all these contracts for roads and everything else, I think we can help the schools. And the tote building, if we can just get an update. I mean, Sonia did, but unfortunately, our ex-councilwoman wasn't here at that time. We're moving forward with that now, right? That's going to start construction again.
Correct. The remediation and the asbestos is being done this week.
Okay, so we're moving forward. Right, she just wasn't here to hear that at the last meeting.
Okay. Anybody else that would like to speak?
Dr. Nasser, Pleasant Avenue.
You recognized?
Congratulations, Joe Coyle, or Councilman Coyle, I should say, for last week's successful event at the Stewart's Root Beer. Seemed like there were a lot of different food trucks there and looked like people had a good time. I'm glad that they were able to get rid of the unpermitted hot water heater that seems to be dumped in the same area. Also, thank you to Councilman Pointer for getting rid of that mirror that was there for a very long time. And even though I tried with the DPW and I tried to do it with a couple other people, I just couldn't get it done. I just don't understand why I wasn't able to do that. But thank you guys for what you guys have done. Now, it's been 1 month since the July 24 meeting, and I've been thinking about a lot of things since that recess time. And we really haven't done anything for Clara Barn. We've been talking, but absolutely nothing has occurred that has given us what we've asked for. So for that, I would give us
You can continue after. You can keep it.
So for that, I would give us an A for effort, but I would give us an F for the results. The planning board also would get an F. They failed to remove the 4-story provision, despite residents objecting during the master plan review process. And 8 years ago, they allowed the 4-story buildings to be built, and they still have not revitalized the Amboy Avenue by that plan. And there's no economic benefit that has happened since the 1 4-story building has come to town. That means that the building was a failure for that plan. In the last 7 months, we struggled for traction to remove the 4-story provision by first a repeal, but then we were told that that was not a viable plan, and then no viable solution was given. So we wasted a lot of time there. Eventually, somehow, legal was able to find a new pathway with a resolution, but for some reason, the 45 window was not attached to that. And I don't know if that was intentional or if not. It's still just as bad. By mid-July, we were promised that the 4-story language would align with the master plan, but this didn't happen, and the mayor was caught off guard, it seemed, by the planning board that he appointed to go ahead and get that done. Although the lawyer administration scrambled to write an ordinance to try to keep their promise, the council members wavered into positions from Monday to Wednesday of that week. And it's funny how on Monday we had language from the council that said, don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good, or that Clara Barn will be unhappy, to try to convince me to support it and the residents. But then on Wednesday we had 2 flip votes. The only flip vote that I could understand was from Councilman Pointer, who had made multiple revisions or suggestions during that entire process of the 7 months, and so whatever he had suggested was consistent with what he had said. Council President, at July's meeting, you suggested that you had no problem delaying this ordinance for another month to get it right. What specifically did you do during that month to get it right? A group of us did our due diligence during that time to follow through with any changes and make sure it moved forward, but it never made it to the agenda. During 1 month span between council meetings, residents asked me to schedule a meeting with the mayor last month, but Mayor Joshi called and he said that now would not be an appropriate time for us to have that meeting because he isn't the decision maker right now. It is actually the council. So at some point, we have to figure out who is the one that's running the show here. The mayor said that he wants to go ahead and do what the Clara Barn residents want, and he's saying that it's the council that has to make the decision, but you guys are pointing fingers both ways, so I don't understand what's going on. If we don't get any traction or a positive vote on this resolution, people did ask to speak to the council, so I'm hopeful that you guys would be open to meeting at the First Aid Squad to discuss with the people about what's going on here. This issue is very straightforward. Do you want to eliminate the 4 stories or not? Parking is an independent issue, although we keep hearing that it is tied together somehow. If you try to build 4-story buildings, you run out of the parking spots, and that is exactly what happened with Lot 102 and 104, which is currently in litigation. If both buildings were 3 stories or 3 stories and 2 stories, then you would have had all the parking that you needed. This is supported by the master plan that says smaller lots like 104 and others like that should not have 4-story buildings. So we need action, no more delays. Has the council passed any measures to do the following? And these are very straightforward. Prohibit 4-story buildings on smaller properties, which is by the master plan's recommendations. We talked about shared parking agreements with the parks or, the banks and unused lots. Have we gone forward with anything with that? That would address your parking issue. I believe the answer is no, and that is concerning. We need to do more than talk. We need you to govern. Everyday 4-story provisions means Clara Barn is at risk. If another 4-story is built, it will be the direct result of the council's inaction. Many of you have been on the council for at least 3 years, and many of you guys live near Clara Barn, so you know the problems that we have. But I don't believe prior to February that you guys, I have how much? I don't believe that any of you mentioned any concerns prior to that. It's only now that we came and we talked about these problems that you guys are adding on different problems and there's other hurdles that we have to go into. So if you did discuss any of those issues prior to February, I would like to know when and what you guys did about it, because it just seems like we're getting a stalling action. It's very suspicious and disheartening that you keep bringing up new unrelated issues every single time that we almost get our goal. I hope that you were listening on Monday and even today. We hear that people are saying that they do not want 4-story buildings across Edison. And there are people that are outside of Clara Barton that are supporting us. So all we need is one vote. I hope we'll work together, get this done.
Thank you, Akhtar. Any council members would like to take that?
Yeah, I'll give a shot at it.
Go ahead.
I consider you highly intelligent and highly articulate. I also consider you a very nice person. And your statement about whether you spoke to the mayor and he says it's the council and the council says it's the mayor, I'm taking that with a little bit of sarcasm, because I really do hope that you do know where it really lies. And this is a question that I'd like to maybe even ask our attorney. This is, we passed an ordinance about inspecting apartment buildings. What council member here requested that from your firm?
I'm sorry?
What council member requested that from your firm?
I have no idea.
Right, because I don't think one did. The mayor did. I, as a councilman, asked to repeal that. I asked our attorneys. They refused to do it as of yet. I've asked them to put together something to name a splash park after our ex-councilwoman, Joyce Ship Friedman, and they refused to do it. So when you wonder who, this body or the mayor, self-evident, it's the mayor. Okay, this body is not the one making the laws. This body is the one that is pushing forward the laws that the mayor puts in and asks to be drawn up. And if I need to, I'll go through every ordinance we have and find out from our attorney which council member requested that law to be made. Okay? So you coming to this body is nice because the mayor's up here watching it. But ultimately, it's you seeing him or next June voting for someone new, one or the other. I feel for you. You know that I support your neighborhood. I support Edison as a general whole. But ultimately, the public has to hold who's accountable. And please don't get us confused with maybe it's the council or maybe it's the mayor. That would be my comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Brescher. As for me, we already spoke on this at length on Monday. It is a process, and again, it's a slow process. Unfortunately, I know we are not moving as fast as you would like, but we are working on it, and that's all I'm going to repeat on this. Thank you. Anybody else for the first time?
Good evening, Council. Dick Fagan, 42 Edgewood.
You're recognized.
Sorry, I don't like standing on the city seal. Next week, our Edison school kids go back to school, and so I'm wishing them a great year. I also do want to thank you guys because I was watching the work session of last week, and I heard that the crossing guard program is fully staffed, and that's awesome, and that's great news because you guys acted or didn't act on the outsourcing plan, and it's a success. And we took the extra money that we were going to send to a for-profit corporation, and we instead invested it in our crossing guards, and we have full staffing of that, and that's awesome. And it's because of what you guys did, and thank you for doing that. The other thing that I wanted to bring up was North Edison baseball and softball is doing their fall season. And this is more or less for the council because you guys know this, but more for the people on TV, that the 2024 fall registration is happening now. They've got T-ball clinics for 5 and 6 year olds. They've got 7-year-old to 14-year-old baseball and softball weekly clinics. The T-ball fee is $50 for this season, and baseball and softball is $125. And I believe, I'll throw in South Edison, EBBL, Edison Boys Baseball, also has fall baseball going on if you're on the south side of town. So pick north side, south side, whichever you want to play. But we're looking for kids and parents and coaches that are involved and want to play baseball. And sometimes it's tough in the fall because we've got lots of football kids, and the Jets is a great organization too, but we lose a lot of kids to football and soccer, and so the baseball programs are hurting. And so maybe if your kid doesn't usually play, this might be a good opportunity to be, a starter on some of those teams. So come out and do that. If you want to register, it's northed.com. So just go to the website and register there. The other thing I would like to ask for the city is I had heard that the North Edison parking lot, because the North Edison fields are city-owned property, right? But the North Edison parking lot is supposed to be, North Edison baseball parking lot is supposed to be on the list for this year for repaving. That's what I had thought I had heard from Sonia at one of these meetings. But I know the paving season is going to come to a close here soon, right? The plants close in like November. So is that going to still happen this year? Do we know?
Sonia,
Thank you.
Do we know if we are doing the paving of the North Edison parking lot?
It is part of the list. So we're in August. Sometimes we can push it to December depending on
The weather?
weather. So.
Also, can you tell us what age group you're looking for?
So the T-ball is from ages 5 and 6, pretty much. I think you could sign up even if you had a 4-year-old, we would take them and train them. And then it becomes baseball at 7 all the way up to 14. And there's all kinds of varying levels of kid pitch or coach pitch or anything. So if you want more information, please ask me, or there's lots of coaches, or Lisa Klein's the president. But we're looking for kids to play, and it's only 2 months for the fall season. It's September and October, basically. It's pretty much done by Halloween-ish. And then it gets too cold.
And northed.com.
Northed.com. And then I don't know what at EBBL, Edison Boys Baseball, which is right over here for South Side, but they've got a program too. I'm just not as familiar with what. I think their program is a little less expensive. It's $50, I think. Okay. But there's a work bond as you have to like volunteer at the concession stand. Okay. But anyway, both sides of the city have programs, and we're hurting for kids to play. So we'd love for kids to play. So thank you, and thank you for I'm hoping we'll get that paved because it's in bad shape. So
it's on the list.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody want to speak for the first time? All right, seeing none, anybody would like to do a rebuttal? All right, seeing none, can I get a
Motion to close.
And can I get a second? All right, motion by Councilman Coyle, second by Councilman Shmuel. All in favor? Aye. And can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
May I have a second? Motion by Councilman Pointer, second by Councilman Shmuel. All in favor? Aye. All right, and this meeting is adjourned at 9:40 p.m.